All right. So this one would be a pretty good one is in regards to free will. We're going down the rabbit hole, the real rabbit hole. Going down the real rabbit hole. All right. All right, what's up, Chris? Peace, brother. Peace, 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 peace. Peace, peace, peace. Let's see 1 second. I'm gonna give me 1 second. Sabin K ask, am I a Muslim? No, sir, I'm not. I'm not a Muslim. No. Hey, Sue, you doing okay? Shalom, Sue. Shalom. Shalom, Delta Roots. Savin K said, asked, what is this about? So this is about you never having a choice, Savin K. If you look at it from a scriptural standpoint, you never had a choice dealing with the mythology of free will, which is really the simulation. Everybody talks about the simulation, but they can't explain the simulation. So with that being the case, let's see something real quick. Let me set up my other camera. Shalom, Delta Roots. Let's see what we got here. So Sabin K, stick around. I don't know if you follow the scriptures or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure you'll learn something that you haven't been taught if you're into the scriptures, if you haven't been taught from that standpoint, right? Let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to see something real quick. All right, let's see. I'm going to drop the link in if people want to come in and ask questions. Okay, Sabin K, you into the Bible, huh? Okay, that's a good deal. That's a good deal, brother. I'm gonna drop the link in here. But Sabin K, you may be able to let's stick around. We can ask questions. You can ask questions or whatnot, but we're gonna go into some things that are typically not really discussed, right? And I think it'll be good. I really think it'll be good, you know. Let's see. Let me put this code in and we'll get ready to get started, guys. All right, entering the studio and we'll be set. Oh my God. All right, let's see. Okay, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, let me know so I can go ahead and get started. I just want to make sure I can be heard. Okay, thank you, Sue. All right, so I know yesterday, let me cut this down just a little bit. All right. So yesterday we were discussing in detail with the Q&A. We were talking about the simulation. We were talking about AI, and of course we had the open mic QA or whatever. People could come in and actually ask questions or whatnot. So it was going into, like he was talking about, the doctrine of hell and those things like that. And this is something I think a lot of Israelites don't understand, a lot of Christians don't understand, a lot of Muslims, Gnostics, free thinkers, etc. It's the concept that you have a relative truth and an absolute truth, right? And in the relative truth, I'm going to make a decision. You guys are going to make decisions, right? In the relative truth. But in the absolute truth, you're not making a decision. You're responding to the stimuli that the simulation, or what we call the creator, is giving you, right? So Yah is the reason. Yah is the simulation. Yah is the creator of the simulation. If you think about the matrix, you can think of it from the standpoint of like the architect, right? And the architect himself wouldn't be much of an architect if you could determine how the house and how the rules of the environment were going to be. So the architect is literally the person that comes up, or the entity that comes up, creates the structure and everything for whatever, right? And on the human side, of course, the architect can ask the human can the person he's building for, he or she can ask, can you do this and add this and make arrangements. But when you look at the creator, all throughout the scripture, whether it's Job, just all throughout, he's always asking these questions. In Proverbs 30, he's asking these questions, like, and one of the main questions is, where were you when I did this, when I laid the foundations, when the winds, do you know where the east wind comes from? Proverbs 30:6, right? So the creator himself is always consistently asking us those questions, but we're not smart enough to catch on to what's really being said in regards to those questions. So what we're doing is we're hearing the questions being asked, and then we're taking it and running with it as if we don't understand. So let me give you an example. Absolute truth versus relative truth. The relative truth is that you found God, right? You found the creator. You found God. That's the relative truth. The absolute truth is you didn't. No matter what scripture text you look at it, whether it's the Old Testament, New Testament, you were called or chosen. So by you being called and chosen, it takes away the importance that as individuals we put on things as if we did something great, right? So most people think that, and they brag and boast about it too. They'll sit there and say, well, you need to choose God, and I'm trying to save souls and win souls. And then you ask them this very simple question that is so profound that it mostly goes over their head. How did you find God? I want you guys to tell me in the chat. It doesn't have to be long or whatnot, but just tell me in the chat how you found God, how you found the creator. Okay, so Delta Roots stated, I always thought that I stumbled on Yah. Okay, so for this one here, I'm gonna write down so we can go back and recap. Well, I got it right here in front of me. So if you said stumbled. Anybody else? Salvin K, do you want to explain how you found God? If you're still in here. I don't know if you're still in here or not. Or anybody, it doesn't matter. Because So I'm gonna ask a lot of this. Is gonna be a lot more thought-provoking. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions. Okay. So then Sue said, I cried out and asked if he was real, and I got an answer. Okay. So Delta Ru says, I always thought I stumbled because I didn't know Yah. Delta said, I didn't know Yah. I knew JC and Christianity. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So if I don't know if anybody else wants to go in and say it, but that's fine. Okay. So we'll go with those two. Right. So the first one was, I always thought I stumbled on Yah. All right. Now remember, the analogy is that you're walking around blind. You're in the darkness, right? You're not in the light, you're in the darkness. So as you're walking around, stumbling in utter darkness, just magically, like winning the Powerball, you were just walking and all of a sudden tripped and you landed on Yah. That's what a lot of people think, right? And then of course the other way is, I cried out and asked if he was real, and I got an answer. All right. So the truth is, both of those are true, but they're relative truth. They're not absolute truth. When you look at the thing behind the thing, the cause behind the thing. So let's go to, I'm going to go to, let me go to the book of Isaiah. All right. And then we're going to really look at what this really means, right? We're going to really look at what it means. Okay. We'll really look at what it means. And then we could probably get some clarity on this. All right. I'm going to share my screen in just a second. Okay. All right. Now this verse, I know most people are familiar with this verse, but let's look at what this verse is really saying from that scriptural standpoint, right? And that's Yeshaya chapter 45, verse 7. So it's going to come up on the screen. Should be getting ready to come up. Okay, there we go. All right. So this verse says, I, and this is the creator, I form the light, and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. I, Yah, do all these things. So he's giving you the ends of the spectrum. You got light on one side of the spectrum. You got darkness on the other side of the spectrum. And he says, I form the light, meaning he created the darkness. It was here originally in Bereshit, right? And then he formed the light out of the darkness and gave it form. Whether that be the first light in Genesis we talked about, which is, you guys know, the first light, when they talk about he made and let there be light, and people think that's talking about the sun, and then they think they did something clever when they go back and say, well, look beneath here, it says the sun, and the sun was made on this day, but the light is on the first day, because they're not really familiar with Proverbs chapters 1-9, or the book of Proverbs. And the light in the beginning was wisdom and understanding, and by wisdom was all things made. So that's the light. When you get wisdom, you're illuminated. You heard the term Illuminati, illuminated, illuminatus, right? That's to illuminate, to bring wisdom and knowledge and understanding to. Wisdom is the what? Principal thing. The word principal means chief, highest. So wisdom is the principal thing, and with all thy getting of wisdom, get understanding. So wisdom is the principal thing. So everything was created with wisdom, and by wisdom, and wisdom cries out in the street. You know, we had people saying they didn't understand that concept as if it was a real woman, right? But it's just Yah and what he gives to mankind. Now, how do you get that wisdom? Most people sit to say, well, I'll read the Bible. You guys ask me a lot. You'll say, well, why do you have Rabbi Lewis on? I get that question a lot, right? And the reason I have him on is because I'm not selfish. And you might sit there and say, well, yeah, but he gets on my nerves, whatever the case may be. And what does that mean? What does that have to do with him being selfish? Because when you really understand the absolute truth, you understand that you can't save anyone. You guys have probably seen this with family members and loved ones you're trying to awaken, and they just don't want to hear it, right? They just don't want to hear it. They just don't want to jump on. They just don't want to get on board. They want to still eat unclean. They still want to do all these things that the creator in this simulation gives you. It could be your child's mother. It could be your child. It could be your grandmother, people you really love and care about, right? And that you honor and you respect. But at the same time, you can't wake them up. Now, watch this here. Here's the thing about sleep. When you're asleep, you don't know you need to wake up because you're asleep. My mom used to have this phrase called dead. We call somebody sleep knocked out, like he dead to the world. She dead to the world. She would say all the time about us. We just dead to the world. We just knocked out. Call our name, we don't hear. Dead to the world, right? So if you're asleep and you liken sleep to ignorance, right? And if you're asleep and you're not woke, right? If you're asleep, how do you stumble into the crater? How do you know you need? How do you get something you know you don't know you need? Why would you look for it? So in Sue's example, she said, I cried out, right? Which is on screen. I cried out and asked if he was real, and I got an answer. So, but what made you cry out? The circumstances that drove you to cry out. And those circumstances are the circumstances that Yah himself uses to push his purpose. See, we resist Yah's will all day long, and mankind resists the will of Yah all day long. But we can't resist his purpose. And his purpose is what he purposes for us. So you can resist his will, meaning I want you guys to eat healthy, and you can go and eat all the unclean foods you want to eat. You resisted his will. But if it's his purpose that you're not going to live another day or another second, you won't live another day or another second. That's the purpose. So whether it's these circumstances that come amongst us that drive us into the arms of the creator, and it's just, if you look at it like let's just say you looking down from a view, a stoic view, looking down, and you see mankind, you see the whole world, and you want to get Sue here. Think about like Monopoly. How do I get Sue from this place right here to here? It's very easy when Sue doesn't understand that it's happening. Same thing with myself. It's very easy when I don't understand because I don't know all things. So I don't see the hand that's guiding me. There's another verse. So we see that I form the light, create darkness, I make peace, I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things, whether it's good or bad. His purpose, the evil is for his purpose. The peace is for his purpose. The light is for his purpose. The darkness is for his purpose. Even in this simulation we live in. And when you hear the word simulation, don't think about the word simulation as from the standpoint of I'm looking at the simulation for it's like a computer. That's an easy way to understand it. But when people hear that, they think I'm saying that the creator doesn't exist, right? So Delta Ru said, but the Most High uses us to help others. For example, you are obedient to Yah, you have understanding to help others. No, correct. But see, here's the deal. He doesn't use you to help others. He uses you to do his purpose. Even if you don't understand it. You know, like sometimes you can be talking to someone and just say the right thing that can help that person at that moment. If they're going through a bad time, bad spout, whatever case may be, right? You can just say the right thing at the right time. And guess what happens? The light bulb flips on. The problem is, as men and women with pride, we think it was us, even though we're being directed, even though we're not creating the light, we're not creating these tough circumstances. Remember, he's the refiner. And what does fire do in a refinery? It purifies the silver. It purifies the gold. It removes the dross and impurities, but only through fire. It can't be done any other way. If it's not melted, if it's not put in the fire and tried and the dross removed, then it can't come out that shining beacon. And it's the same exact way with us. So yes, we'll help people. But the absolute truth is we're not helping anyone. Yah is just moving the pieces on the board. That's the illusion of free will. And that's how you know this is a simulation. So if you look at the title of this deal, it's called You Never Had a Choice. The illusion of free will and really think you can thwart Yah. That's the question. There is no free will. Now you sit there and say, Hezekiah, in the scriptures, I read about the free will offering. I read about all these things, gifts of free will. Correct. That's relative truth. That's the relative truth. If you think about the creator just moving pieces on the chessboard, then what he's doing by moving those pieces on the chessboard, he's causing events and his purpose to be manifested. Right? That's what he's doing. Okay, so the next one was Sue said I was suicidal. And that's the thing. Something that happened, remember, whatever it was, let's say family members, whatever, that's the evil that existed to you. You're losing someone. That wasn't a glorious thing. That was a hard thing. And if we look up the definition of the word evil, that was an evil thing. But that evil thing was repurposed to drive you towards something. Because, you know, you and I, Sue, we talk about this a lot. You never really, I remember once I was on a job, right, making real good money. And I was on a job. And I remember, but I hated the job. When I say I hated it, I hated the job. I knew the job wasn't good for my physical being. It wasn't good for my mental health, right? But the money was very, very, very good. So I was sacrificing my mental health, stability, etc., and even physical health, because, you know, the mental affects the physical, right? I was sacrificing all of that for the extra money, right? So as I'm doing that, I remember one day I was in my store in the back room and a truck came and it was like just stuff everywhere. And I was like, and I remember just sitting around looking and I literally screamed. Like I screamed. And it scared me because it came out of nowhere. It was like it was primal. The truth was I never would have quit that job. In hindsight, thinking about it, I see how much pressure and stress it was putting on me. It could have killed me. It could have unalived me, right? But I was never going to quit it, even though I was complaining to the creator every single day. Hey, I don't like this job and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but I wasn't going to quit. It was really that easy. But I couldn't quit because I wasn't programmed at that moment to quit, or things didn't happen. Now, actually, I end up getting fired from the job, right? And I'm one of the most logical, sane, thoughtful, calculating people. And when I say I work hard. I don't shy away from work, training, coaching, development, things like that. You know, running people and making people progress, and training and coaching, and, you know, etc. I don't run from that. But I understood in hindsight that I was never going to quit that job. And so since I was never going to quit, the one that was directing said, no, you're not going to quit. You work hard, you do good. I'll get you out of here. Because that guttural scream that I executed, that scream came from a place I didn't know existed. Right? All right. So it says, Delta says, I was searching for the truth, but it was years after I found Yah, if that makes sense. I told Yah at the time I called him God of Moses, show me the truth, and I follow you forever. But Yah revealed himself years later. Right. See, so that couldn't have been you. Because if you were searching for him, then you would have found him then. You wouldn't have been looking for years, and you said he revealed himself to you. That's the proof that he chose you, because he revealed himself to you. Now remember, these are your words. Let me go back. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. You said, but then you said, Yah at the time I called him God of Moses, show me the truth, and I will follow you forever. but Yah revealed himself years later. See, so Yah revealed himself to you. You didn't have the power to choose Yah. You didn't stumble upon Yah. Yah was putting the obstacles there to guide your path right to him with the perfect time. So now, watch this here. When you're arguing with a person and you're telling a person they stupid or whatever case may be, right? Or if a person just can't get it, you know why they can't get it? And you know why you're really, really, really upset? You're really upset because you think you can save them. You think you're the one waking people up. In your wanton ignorance and pride, you think it's you waking people up and saving souls. Even though all of us know, if we really think about how we found the Creator, it wasn't from us, because we didn't even know to really look for him. It was situations and the valve was being tightened that drove us to what? To seek him. When times, I've never heard a story of somebody finding Yah and everything was good. Think about it. You said, Delta Roots, you stumbled upon him. Well, how was life at that time when you just stumbled? There was a reason you cried out to him. You said, I was searching for the truth. But why were you searching for the truth? Something had to have been wrong. You had to have noticed something in this simulation to say, I need something. And that's something that Yah got your attention. Now think about this here. I'm gonna use some movie examples, right? What's up, True Down South? What's up, bro? What's up? You doing all right? I remember True Down South. I remember that. TRU. I remember you, bro. I remember that. Yeah. You didn't have to say it was then. I remember. So the absolute truth versus the relative truth is that you thought you found the Creator, but you really didn't find the Creator. What you did was the obstacles he was placing was just, like, again, they were directing you to a certain point. And once you got to that point, guess what happened? You broke. You cried out. You broke, right? Delta Root said, Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 15, right? He give you past according to the heart, but they will feed his people with knowledge and understanding. Yes, he gives you. Oh, yeah, I remember your old name, yeah. You know, No Limit TRU, so I remember that, yeah. I remember that, yeah. But so he gives. See, so when you are trying to wake people up, the reason you're so flustered is because you don't have the ability to wake them up. You have to look at it even Steven, even kill. Because remember, are we the potter or the pot? In this simulation, are we the potter or the pot? Think about that. Put your answer in the chat. Are we the potter or are we the pot? We have to be one or the other. So are we the potter or are we the pot? Sue stated, we are the pot. Right. So think about this for a second. If we're the pot, then how are we the pot? Well, make sure this question. What can a pot do? It has a purpose. But what can a pot do without someone utilizing it or something utilizing it? Think about that for a second. So now, Sue, Delta, True, we're all pots, right? If we're a pot, no matter what you call the Creator, right? If we're pots, what can a pot by itself do? What can a pot do? The answer is nothing. So think about this Stanley Cup. I have a beverage in the Stanley Cup. This is a pot. I set it here without me utilizing my agency to do it, anything with it. It'll just sit here till kingdom come or till it disintegrates and over time, whatever, right? That's what this can do. It's nothing without it being utilized by an external force. So that force would be the Creator. That's what we call God, Yah, whatever, right? So you're the pot. So how can a pot save another pot? Have you ever been in your kitchen and broke some glass? So let's just say, let's make the glass, there's 2 glasses on the counter. One glass falls and breaks. Why didn't the other glass save that glass? Would you expect that glass to reach down like in the movies and say, hold on, and grab and grab the other glass by the rim and pull the glass back up on the counter? Would you expect that? The glass cannot save the other glass. The pot cannot save the other pot. If you have a pot on your stove and you're cooking in it, and then there's another pot on your stove and there's nothing in it, 2 pots. If you go in the bedroom and you're by yourself in your home, and you come back and there's now things in both pots, somebody's in your house. Somebody's manipulating the pot. Somebody's utilizing the pot. So you are, now remember, this analogy of the pot, I didn't create it. It's in the Bible. Delta Root said, in my spirit, it's hard to articulate it, but I really want to know who the creator was. I didn't want to know the truth. No, listen, Delta Roots, it's not hard to articulate what you're saying, because you don't know what you need. It's just you're being driven towards something because of pain. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, pain. I give you an example. We're going to go back to the analogy of the pots, right? I give you an example. Let's say in your bank account, you have 300K. And you go outside, you want to run to the store real quick. You try to start your vehicle. As you're starting your vehicle, it won't crank. It won't start. You have a mechanic come by the home to look at it. You take it to the dealership, have it towed. They say, we can't fix it. Now, remember, you have 300K. Do you get on your knees and pray for another car, or do you just buy another car? So we all run from the hardship because it's hard. And if it was easy, everybody would just love it. But we all run from the hardship. We all run from the ability the car not working. We run from that. We don't want that, especially if we can't do anything about fixing it or getting another one. So guess what? It frightens us when we don't have control. But you don't have control because you're being utilized and moved in a certain way. That's why you're supposed to trust the creator. You trust the creator because he's moving you along, and you know everything's going to be okay because you have no other choice. You're just the pot. The pot is it's sitting on the stove. It can't hop off. It can't add extra water. You've all probably, I'm a top chef cook, right? When you cooking, if you walk off and and whatever base you're using, whether it's water, whether it's some type of broth, etc., if it starts to dry up in that in that pot skillet, your food is going to burn. That pot is not going to say, he's not watching, Hezekiah's not watching, let me add a little bit more olive oil, a little bit more water, or a little bit more butter. It's not going to do that because it can't do anything, and you're the pot. You can't do anything. So now you're going to ask, well, hold on, Hezekiah, if I can't do anything, then why am I getting in trouble from the creator? And that's the same thing. Can the pot ask the potter, why hast thou made me thus? In the moment, I'd be upset with Lewis, but then I realize he's a pot, right? He's a pot, and some people are pot heads, right? No pun intended, but he's a pot. So as a pot, he's either going to be a good pot that'll hold water and you can cook in it, or he's going to be a bad one that's ugly and disfigured and disarrayed, that has chipped. Now watch this here. The perfect creator is going around making a bunch of pots. Some vessels for honor, some for dishonor, some for the banquet, some for not. They'll never see the banquet. And it's not because he's making mistakes and messing up. He's using those pots to influence other pots, but all for his purpose. Now you say, well, hold on, Hezekiah, that sounds like a contradiction. You just told me the pot can't do anything of itself. Correct. So Yah would take this pot, this vessel of dishonor, and put it right here in your way. In this simulation, these pots can talk, but they really can't do anything except what they're being puppeteered to do. Right? Let's see. Okay. Okay, here we go. I give you an example. 2012, I needed help with something I couldn't fix myself. It's funny. Looking back, I told JC to let me speak to the Father, the God of more. He answered quickly. He changed, right? My situation. But I was going through JC to get to the Father Yah and didn't know at the time that was an obstacle. When I really needed something, I called on the God of most, but JC was a stumbling block. That's what I'm saying. And then you say, okay. And then you said, once I found Yah, it was a burden lifted, but other people couldn't understand. I understood who Yah was. There's none else. I had moments where I thought, how can I explain this to people? Right? And then you said it didn't work. What's up, Tim, brother Tim? You doing all right? Peace, peace. Yah bless. Yah bless. Well, think about this from this standpoint. Let's go back to the beginning. Listen, I understand this absolute truth. Relative truth, JC is idolatry. He can't save you, can't help you, can't harm you, can't hinder you. He's just idolatry, right? But I also understand that as a pot, I did emphatic research on JC. And I was a true follower and believer of JC. And then as a pot, I was filled with something else from the Creator, but I knew the tenets and all the things about JC. And that the Creator was using me, not me choosing the Creator. Because remember, when I was calling on the name of JC, I thought I was right. So when people are calling on Allah Sapatatawan or that idol, they think they're right. And as time moves forward, I no longer follow JC. You don't follow JC. Nobody here follows JC. There may be somebody watching that follows JC, but they don't follow JC in totality. Why? Because they know better now. But again, you don't just wake up and say, I don't worship JC after following JC. It doesn't work like that. You hear information from other pots being put in your path. And that pot can't wake you up, but they can say something thought-provoking that makes you question things. That's the simulation. But most people, like the movie The Matrix, are just walking around aimlessly as NPCs. They are NPCs. They're just walking around, and they're just vessels of dishonor. They have no awareness of anything. They don't hate this system. They want to thrive in this system. But this system is their oppression. But they want to thrive in this system to their own detriment, to their own hurt. Now, I'm not saying trying to thrive is a bad thing. I'm saying they don't want this system to change the status quo. They don't have a ruling class mentality where they're going to now be the people of the Creator that's going to rule in righteousness. They don't want that. They want to be able to look at the people that run the world and then make a cognizant decision to be either as morally corrupt as them, or just tone it down a little bit and still have everything they have. And you can't do it that way, and it doesn't work that way. Right? So when you look at the pot example again, now the potter is saying, I made this cup and I'm going to use it as a cup to keep a beverage cold. That's what the Stanley cup is for. That's what the Stanley pot is for. That's the only purpose it can serve. It can't do anything else. That's the pot. So now free will. So we got free will offerings though, Hezekiah. Yeah, you can go and say, I want to donate $80 to Delta Roots. Sue might say, I want to donate $20 to True Down South. So yeah, you think you're making that cognizant choice, but you're not. The potter that put you in these positions is putting it on your heart, aka mind, not this. This is all, we're not talking about emotion, we're talking about the mind, a renewing of the mind. When the mind is renewed, you're able to do what? Wake up and see the matrix, the simulation for what it really is. Because we are in a simulation. That's the only way you can be controlled. That's it. If you truly have free will, then you could literally tell the creator, look, I don't want to follow you and I'm not going to follow you. And if you really had free will, he would have to bow to that. Now think about how insane that sounds. I got free will. The Bible talks about free will. I make choices. Let's use hell as an example. Lewis was bringing up hell yesterday. So with the free will perspective, if I come and I hit you with the free will, and if you come to me, Tim, and you say, I am Tim the Most High, and I say, well, Tim, I exercise my free will card. I don't want to follow you, and you don't mess with me, and no, matter of fact, you're going to serve me now because I have free will. What does the word free mean? Let's look at it. Look at that. Free. The adjective free. Not in prison or confined. We ain't talking about jail. Walk out of prison a free man, set the birds free. We ain't talking about that. Not controlled by obligation or the will of another. That's it right there. That's the creator. So if I got free will, free, that's free. Not controlled by the obligation of the will or the will of another. So if the Most High is a potter, how am I not controlled by the pot? By the potter. Because the pot can only be utilized by the potter. So you can't have free will. It's the illusion. That's the matrix. That's the matrix. The matrix is thinking you are free. When you look at the movie The Matrix, they thought they were free. Here, they thought they were free. Morpheus said, Neo, you are a slave, Neo, born into bondage, right? Thought it was free. Now watch this here. That's free. So now let's look at the definition of will. So we know what free means. Without confines, restraints, restrictions, or the will, doing the will of another, right? So now let's go to will. The mental faculty by which one deliberately chooses or decides upon a course of action. If you literally were really free to make all your choices, but hold on for a second. What is a choice? A choice is an option placed before you that you, Coke or Pepsi, Doritos or Lay's, pork or catfish, beef or lamb. These are all options that you can choose from, but that you can't create nothing other of that yourself. It's just choices you're giving. So, prime example, when you look at politics, you're given the choice, Democrat, Republican. Now, there's independents, there's the Green New Party, right? But you keep consistently seeing Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican winning, right? And they give you a choice. Nobody went and said, give me Trump. Nobody had the foresight and the knowledge to say, you know what, I think Trump would be a great president. Nobody had the foresight to say, you know what, I think Biden would be a great president. These were choices placed before us. And then we made a choice. If you voted, I don't vote on presidential elections, so I never have and never will. I would never vote to have someone rule over me that is not of my people. And that's the law. Okay. truth says, Tim says exactly. Delta Ruth said, Ezekiel, I always have the creator on my mind. Even when I was in Christianity, even when I try to lead the most I have in my mind. Years ago, I said, don't kill me, be patient with me. Well, hold on, but something is telling you to tell him to be patient. Something is telling you to say that. Because remember, you're a pot. A pot can't talk. A pot can't say, a pot can't make decisions. A pot can't prepare for the future. A pot cannot be ill prepared. A pot cannot prep. If you have it in you to prepare extra food, bullets, guns, silver, gold, precious metals, whatever. Let's on the flip side, if you all in on the stock market, Bitcoin, whatever, something is telling you to do that. Because we know thoughts don't just come from anywhere, but that's what people believe, and that's what people teach, that thoughts come from just randomly chaotic things are chaotic. I told you there's no such thing as chaos. It appears to be chaos when you don't understand that there's somebody behind the scenes moving, even in the human element. Even in the human element. If you buy a car and that car has a manufacturer defect, before they built that car, they had tested that car for all types of things. Somebody went to work, somebody purchased and cut corners and bought cheaper parts from Taiwan or China, etc. Somebody did something that caused that to happen. Right? That's the only way it can happen. It was inferior parts put together from the beginning, or somebody did something. Right? And what's the chance that you, of all the millions of cars, makes and models, you got the one that had a defect? And then you pray, I need my car. I need my car, but I ain't got no money. I need my car. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. Right? And then you stress, worry through fear. And that's something all of us have to conquer. Right? So then you do the stress, worry, fear game. It does nothing for you. It actually makes it worse. And I prove to you another thing about the simulation. Notice about the simulation. You ever been thinking about something, knowing something bad was going to happen, and it did? Think about that for a second. You think something bad is going to happen, and then it does. Why? It's almost as if you caused it. Now, it should make a little bit more sense when you say, so as a man thinketh, so is what? So is he. Because who gave you the thought? Nobody wants to talk about that. Let's go to YHWH chapter 17. Let's see. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Now watch this here. The Creator says, I, Yah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruits of his doing. See, some of your fruits, the fruits of your doings, some are going to be bad, some are going to be good. And the Most High is just going to give you what you deserve. But remember, who caused it? I make peace, I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Only in religion does the word all now mean some. The dude said, I know he watches everything and every thought. I'm like, is anyone this cognitive? Yeah, see? All right. Oh, that was, look, and Tim hit with the Jeremiah 17:9, right? The 17:9. And that's perfect, because that's exactly what I went. The heart is deceitful above all things. And y'all know the heart is not the heart, it's the mind. In ancient cultures, the heart is the mind. Okay? The heart is the mind. Now you understand why the Egyptians, when they would do the mummification process, they would pull out the what? The brain through the nostrils. But guess what? The brain is not the mind. The brain is just an organ. What is the mind? The mind is what we call the soul. Remember I asked Lewis yesterday, I said, what is a soul? He couldn't tell me because the Quran doesn't properly explain it. Your body plus the breath of life creates a soul, right? Let's see. Battle Sheet chapter 2, right? Verse 7. Now watch this here. This is the soul that he couldn't answer yesterday. And the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground, not real, just a low nature, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So now you got a body formed from the dust. You got the breath of life, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So what is a soul? It's just a living soul. It's when you have the breath of life in you. Let's say, for instance, you're at home. You walk in, your mother is lying on the floor. What's the first thing you do? You check to see if she's what? Breathing. Breath of life. Or let's say, for instance, your father is in the hospital bed. He's sick. They're telling you, that's it, TT, the Ruach HaKodesh, right? They're telling you he's not going to make it through the night. And you see him shallow breathe, and then all of a sudden, and that chest don't rise again. You say, Dad, you know what it is. You know it's on and popping now. That breath is left him. That's the breath of life that makes you a living soul. It's no different than a TV screen. If I can hit this power button on this TV remote all day long, but if I don't have it hooked up to an external source, aka electricity, that's the breath of life. Now when I hit it, it comes on. Because in this example, the TV would be the body, us, and the electricity would be the breath of life. Same concept. So there's no free will. The creator's making pots, going around telling you what you're going to do, leading the affairs of man. What did he say in Daniel 7? He said, and I set up kingdoms, and I put over it the basest of men. Once you understand that, you shouldn't vote anymore. Once you understand that the people that run the country are the basest of men, meaning the lowest, animalistic, beast. Once you understand that, you shouldn't vote anymore. Right? You shouldn't vote anymore. So when you look at the concept of free will, if a person isn't free to choose what they want to choose and do what they want to do, free will, then that means there can't be a hell. I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Who in the hell chooses hell? The concept of hell. Who in the hell would say, yeah, I want to burn forever? Yeah. Yeah, listen, you can have somebody demented that might say it, but just take a match and burn them and watch they move back. I have yet to see anybody get hit with some fire, some hot fire, and just relish in it and bathe in it. Yeah, the flame is so engulfing and so great. I've yet to see it. When they set themselves on fire, it started off peaceful and sitting Indians crisscross applesauce, right? And then all of a sudden, when that flame started hitting their skin, they get the hollering and rhythm and pain every single time. Every single time. Nobody would choose such a fate. And guess what? Not just to burn for a little bit, not to burn the ashes, but to burn forever. And that's another play on word term. Do y'all know how long forever is? Forever? You remember when you was little and your family kept Christmas and you had some toys and you had some, you know, you got that Nintendo or whatever. It was under the tree or the Atari 2600, whatever it is. You knew Commodore, you knew you had it. Do you remember how long it took for Christmas to get here? Now multiply that times 600 quadrillion and you still ain't it forever. Think about it from this standpoint. So who's choosing hell? The Christians, the Muslims, they believe in this nonsense. The Messianic Israelites believe in this nonsense, even though the whole concept of hell, when JC talked about the hell, it was a parable. He said when he talked to the masses, it was in parable form. It was never literal. Gehenna is a trash heap where the worm dieth not. But people sit there and say, oh, yeah, the worms are going to eat you forever. No. In a trash heap, the worms don't die because you're always adding what? Refuse. You're always adding garbage. Dead dogs, dead goats, dead sheep, dead swine, rotten vegetables, all that processed trash. Y'all know what dumpster truck juice smell like? Or what a trash can smells like in the summer, and you go in there and you see the maggots in the trash can, you got to go clean it out and throw bleach in it and powered water hoses. You know exactly what that partakes in, right? So then how do people really believe that the creator who's controlling all things is gonna, what did he do to Pharaoh? He hardened Pharaoh's heart. Why did he harden Pharaoh's heart? Because if he didn't, Pharaoh wouldn't have fulfilled his purpose. And what was his purpose? I'm gonna make a great name of myself so that when I put y'all in the land, y'all will have some peace, so people will know I fight for y'all. But Pharaoh would have let him go. He had to harden his heart. So hold on. Wouldn't that be against Pharaoh's free will if free will was real? Okay, let's go back to the chat. Tim said, Khan, yep, the Ruach. Hadabarim chapter 17, verse 15. And we'll get that. No one resisted. Yeah. Yeah. How are you going to burn a soul? Well, again, you could burn a soul because the soul would be, I'm just playing advocate, right? The soul would be the body plus the spirit, or the breath of life. So you could, if I'm alive, I'm a living soul. That's what we see on the screen right here in Bereshit chapter 2, verse 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, the body, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Take the breath of life or put the fire on you, then guess what? The breath of life eventually has to be extinguished from you. Eventually, skin and the pain sensors and all that, you'll go unconscious. And then, of course, if you keep burning them, the lungs will be gone. So there's no breath of life. See, the spirit can't be destroyed. But now they teach you in Christianity through the immortal soul doctrine that you were designed to live forever. I ask people basic common sense things like, if we were designed to live forever, show me a lion with flat teeth, bicuspids, molars, no fangs, no canines. So in the Garden of Eden, we had tigers galloping around, running up, looking like the Cheshire cat. That's what they're saying. The immortal soul. What did the Creator say? And remember, a soul is what? The body plus the breath. The body can't be immortal. Therefore, you can't have an immortal soul. Delta Root says, forever, they say, correct. But I'm going to burn something forever. Everlasting destruction. Come on. Everlasting destruction. Destruction means to come and make an end of. Everlasting means to last forever. So you're in the process of being destroyed forever? Well, when does it end? Look at this logically. You live to be 80 years old, which is not even a 30 minutes in a day of the Most High. If you take the time frame, it's not even a minute. I can do the calculation, but let's just say a day is 1,000 years. So 80 years out of that 1,000 years, right? Let's just say it's 2.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes, or actually less, but 1,000 years. Yeah. Let's say it's 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. So on this planet, you did some things in your 2.5 seconds of life compared to the creator. I'm not talking about overall, I'm just talking about as a year, 1,000. I mean, a day is 1,000 years. A day, not 1,000 years, a day. I'm sorry. A day is as 1,000 years with the Most High. So in that single 124-hour period or day for the Most High, you for 2.5 seconds, 0.5 seconds was bad. The other 2 minutes, you was a child between that was a child and didn't really know what was going on. And your punishment for that 2.5 seconds or that 0.3 or 0.2, 0.02 seconds, fractions of a second, is to burn forever because you were bad for 0.2 or 0.02 percentage of your life. Now, how much sense does that make? He says we live average 80 years, if that. Correct. We were indoctrinated with this in Sunday school with our teenage years program. I think if we were taught Yah, then collectively our thought process would be different, of course. But remember, you were taught this because the Creator wanted you to be taught this, and you went through this school. See, we always look at good and bad. I'm going to say something very controversial, but anybody with a half a brain knows it's true. You can't learn without seeing. Oh my God. Ezekiel just said we got to sin. No, I didn't say you got to sin. I'm saying you only learn through pain, and pain comes from judgment from sin. So you can't learn without sin. How can you know right from wrong without sin? How can you know the law without knowing sin? Because sin is transgression of the law. And all people sin except that hippie on the stick. So he doesn't sin. That doesn't register to people that believe in JC that ain't meant. Look, and then he set the bar so high. Watch this here logically. JC comes and says, look, see that sexy woman over there? Yeah, Lord, I want to be with her one day. How'd she look at you? She looked pretty. Ooh, I wish I had her, Lord. You bite your knuckle, right? Right? And then the Most High said, what JC says, you just lusted. That's a sin. So now he's made the mere thought of things that you can't control. Because remember, all thoughts come from somewhere. Nothing just happens. All thoughts come from the one that puts it in you. So what's the absolute? What am I saying? What's the absolute truth? The absolute truth is, who causes sin? People ain't ready to have that conversation. Delta Root says we are not taught critical thinking. Correct. You're not taught critical thinking. You're not taught critical. Nobody really is. Tim said oxymoron. Correct. True down south. Damn scare tactic. Christianity is based on fear and faith with no knowledge. Now they are just dumb cowards. Correct. And that's really all it is, true. That's really all it is. It turns into where it's just the fear. Because I give you an example. Right? Right? 5 years ago, people was getting that, right? In their arm, right? Because they couldn't go to the ball game, because they couldn't go to the movies, or they weren't going to be able to keep their job. Fear and manipulation. I tell people this story all the time. I was at work. Boss came to me and said, hey, man, came from out of town. Came from out of town to talk to me about this stuff. Said, you know, they may be trying to force us to get the scene, right? The V scene. I said, oh, for real? He said, yeah. What do you think about that? I went in my pocket. Here's the keys. Here's the keys to the whole building. I'm not doing that. Man, you know, you make good money, man. You're going to quit? Yeah. Nobody's going to force me to do anything. Nobody's going to put any fear in me. I'm not going to be controlled or manipulated by fear, because I know if I get hit with this, it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. But guess what? Solomon Shlomo said, if thy faith in the day of adversity, then thy strength is small. Right? Meaning you learn, you read, you understand, you ponder. Now it's time to put it in action, but you can't put it in action without resistance. But nobody wants the resistance, so nobody really want to grow. The growth comes from the resistance. It's tough and it's hard. But what does the word overcome mean? Overcome. Like I had to climb over this thing to get to where I was going. It was an obstacle in front of me. It was resistance. When you lift weights, it's resistance training that gives you, look, you can do this here all day long with some, like you got weights in your hand. You ain't even do nothing but get tired eventually, right? You'll probably have some sore arms, but you ain't gonna put no weight on. You ain't gonna put no muscles on. You ain't gonna pack no muscles on. Why? Because it's no real resistance. It's the reason why people hate leg day. The legs are harder to train. Why? Because we use our legs every day. You have to overstimulate the legs, right? Tim said, facts. True said, Ecclesiastes 12:7 says the spirit goes back to Yahweh gave. It's simple as that. When we read that in the Christians, the bones shook of their face. Correct. The spirit, the breath of life goes back to the creator. Now you're just a dead body. And that's why when you go to church, or you go in that church and you see them people in that casket, that's why you're sad. Because you know here that you ain't going to see them no more. If you really believe you was going to see them again, if you really knew that in your heart of hearts, and you really know you got 80 years on this planet and you're already 60, why the hell are you crying? At max, you got 20 plus years later. So I'll see you again. That's all you should hear. Man, I'm going to see you again. Won't be long. 20 years ain't that long. Think about it. Look at your life. I'm 44. 20 years ain't that long. 44 ain't that long. I feel like I'm 90. I feel like I'm 100 years old. Not because I feel like I'm tired. And I can still run, flip. I can do all kinds of things when I was young. I'm pretty athletic. It ain't because I feel bad physically. I feel old here. Mentally, I feel old. Because I've seen so much and thought about so much and used this muscle here, the brain, so much that I feel like I've lived and I've enjoyed things. I've seen a lot. I've traveled a lot. So I feel like, and I've talked to a lot of different people. I feel fulfilled. Of course, I have dreams and goals and visions and things I want to do, but I do feel fulfilled. So when you're doing what you need to do, whether that's good or bad, and that's the creator's purpose, whatever he has for you as a pot. I can't tell y'all. I'll give you a prime example. I pray for all my brothers and sisters. When True and I, we talk on Facebook often. I pray for True. I pray for Delta. I pray for Sue. I pray for Tim. I pray for Reggie. I pray for all the brothers and sisters. Amaziah, everybody. But how I pray is, Yah, if it's your will, help them, please. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, but if it's your will, because I know I can't do anything and I can't make you do anything, but if it's your will, help them, Yah. That is the most sincere, honest prayer you can give. It's a scary prayer, though, because we love people so much. It's a scary prayer. Your child is laying down in the hospital bed. Small child, sick. It's very hard to say, Yah, save my child, if it's your will. That's very hard. Because that if it's your will means the child might not be saved. And you don't want to think like that. Right? That's very hard. That's a very hard and tough prayer. You know what I'm saying? My mom is passing away. She's sick. Well, Yah, save her if it's your will. No, we like, Yah, please, come on, please, Yah, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. And that's that. We're human. We're human. If he don't do it today, it'll happen. Or she'll be saying it for you. Because as Ecclesiastes says, we go the way of all the earth. All of us got to check up out of here. Nobody can live forever. That's the antithesis of the lie of the immortal soul that Christians love to teach. I'll see my mom again when I die. No, you won't. You're not going to heaven. What book told you you're going to heaven? You're not going to heaven. hold on, for what? You're gonna go to heaven for what? Because you were good? Or you were good in your 2.5 seconds on planet Earth, huh? You were good. So you were good. So you were good for 2.5 seconds, not the whole, most of the 2.5 seconds, you weren't even cognizant that you were doing right or wrong. You was a child. Then you got older, you made mistakes, but you weren't a bad person, so-called. You probably didn't keep no laws, statutes, commandments, precepts, ordinances, and judgments. But then I did right by people. So in 2.5 seconds, my reward should be I get to live forever. And if you ever notice, one of the most disingenuous things I've heard from Christians is they'll tell you, I'll pray for you. When a Christian tells you they'll pray for you, that means F you. I promise you, it means F you. That's what it really means. Okay, Delta Root said, Yah. And then my brother Tim said, Yah does all things correct. Delta Root said, exactly. I was angry about the jab. I was resistant at the time. My mom wanted me to take it. Past the child mom, I was fighting but caved in. I promised myself never again. I asked Yah to forgive me. Yeah, that's because see, that's the fear. That's the fear. That's how they control us, through fear. Let me tell y'all something, bro. I know multiple people, and True, my brother True, is we be giving people the business on social media. So me and him talk on a weekly basis on social media. I've been knowing this brother here for ooh, man, it's been a long time, huh, bro? Like, man, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Well, anyway, and I met True on YouTube, but we still talk and converse. Matter of fact, he made a post the other day about JC, and then somebody tagged me saying, "Come help me deal with this." And I'm like, "What you calling me for? What you calling me for? I don't follow JC." So, but when you think about it from that standpoint, your free will. What is your free will? What you know what free will really is? It's sin. It's disobedience. It's you telling the Creator, you can't tell me what to do. I'm free. The oceans are not free. And guess what? Those ocean waves come up to a certain amount. And when a storm or a tsunami comes, everybody panics when they don't obey those borders. When those waves come way inland and they come back too far, nobody likes that. Everybody likes order except when it comes to their own personal life. They want order for everybody else around them, but they don't want order for themselves. And here's the crazy part. Everything I'm saying is scriptural, because it's the absolute truth. No man can die for another man's sins. It's right there in the book of Ezekiel. Let's get it real quick. So we'll start here, and I'm gonna take you guys. And that's in Hadabarim, chapter 24, verse 16. Right? Let me see something. Hold on one second, because that's a good one too. There we go. That's the one I wanted. Chapter 18. So I'm gonna go back a verse, right? Let's go back a verse. Let me just get 18. Let me just get 18 itself. Yeah. Let's see. Let me go back a verse. All right. So as you can see here, yet say ye, why doth not the Son bear the iniquity of the Father? When the Son have done that which is lawful and right, and have kept all my statutes and have done them, he shall surely live. Right? Real simple. Now watch this here. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. All souls, all people sin. Because what is a soul again? The body, who you are, plus the breath of life. And then that animates you and gives you a soul, which is the seat of your emotions, your mind. This attack with the whole, that was all about a battle of the mind, manipulation, mind, MK Ultra. It's all warfare for the mind. But it says, the soul that sinneth shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. And people say, oh, take y'all. That's a contradiction. Because in the scriptures, it says we have to pray for our father's sinners. Yeah, because when you go back and look at Solomon's supplication, in 1 Kings chapter 8, right? 38 through 46. When you look at that Solomon supplication, he tells us to pray for our fathers. Why? Because you have to honor your mother and father. And our fathers and mothers taught us to eat pig feet, neck bones, and beef, not beef, pork ribs, and baby back ribs at Chili's, and pork, bacon, catfish nuggets, all this despicable, destructive stuff. Our parents taught us to eat that. Now you're eating it, so it still affects your body whether you knew it or not. Just like if you got in look, a baby doesn't have to understand that force equals ma, or mass accelerated equals force. A child doesn't have to understand that equation to go out in the street, get hit by a car, and die and be unalive. If the car hit the child going fast enough, the child is not going to live. If a person gets shot in a vital organ and doesn't receive medical attention, they will die. Whether they knew the person finna shoot them, snuck up on them or not, whether they knew he was about to die or not, is completely irrelevant. So what you know does hurt you. People say ignorance is bliss. Only a wicked person would come up saying something like that ignorance is bliss. Right? True said, for sure. One thing is I can't be deceived. That's what I'm saying. Like, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something, because nobody can deceive you. You deceive yourself. Because nobody can control you. You're a pot. How can a pot control another pot? Nobody can control you. People can tell you things and coerce you. And if you believe it or not believe it, it's up to you. But even absolutely, it's up to the spirit the Creator has given you. Like True said, nobody can deceive me, because he just look at it like, you know what? I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I'm not trusting my enemies. Trusting your enemies is tantamount to trusting a cane corso to not bite your scrotum off and you have barbecue sauce on it. It's just, no, it's not a good idea. Truth said, can't be deceived by idols. Correct. There was, I was pissed I came in, but I was headstrong. It bothered me for a while, but never again. And that's the thing about it. Listen, eat as healthy as possible. You know, purge yourself. You want to make sure you get those heavy metals and stuff out of you, right? And for YouTube, I'm not a doctor. You want to get those heavy metals out of you. You want to make sure that you take certain supplements like burdock, echinacea, right? Chaparral. These are blood purifiers, right? That's what you want to do. Truth said, all them book face battles we had with $1 that never lost. Yeah, I know y'all. Right. That was, listen, we used to be cleaning people clocks, and still do to this point. We still do. There was that True Down South 100. True Down South said, even Psalm said, they turn away from hearing their laws that praise abomination. I tell them that too. Correct, because that's the whole point. Listen, and I was explaining this to one of my brothers, my brother Josh. I told my brother Josh, I said, bro, I said, you know, as a people, we have the heart and the capacity to want to help people, to want to assist people, right? Sometimes, if a person isn't keeping the law, statutes, commandments, precepts, ordinances, and judgments, because I'm going to tell y'all now, don't doubt yourself. If you know you're doing right and life is hard, Don't doubt yourself, because that's not why life is hard, right? Life is not hard because of that. Life is hard because you're being refined. But when you find people that you know are not keeping the law, statutes, commandments, precepts, ordinances, and judgments willingly, remove yourself, because they're getting whooped. The good thing about this simulation is that we're aware. Those of us that know, we're aware of what's happening. The awareness is what makes you human. It's what makes you alive. The awareness. So you're aware that you can be somebody trying to trick you. You're aware that somebody's pushing an idol on you. You're aware that somebody's using fear and fear tactics and shame and guilt to put you in a position where you can't grasp what's really going on, and you just cave in emotionally, right? Yep, True said it was like, yeah, okay, yeah, like 13 years now. Yeah, we've been knowing for a while, each other for a while. Just said, Dan, that's crazy. Why did I ask y'all to be patient to kill me? That was 13 years ago. Because listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I was the best Christian. That ain't no pride talking. Whatever I do, I be into it. I really be into it. I don't have to do nothing. I be into it. I was buying the Greek concord. I got the Greek. I still got this stuff. The Greek concordances. I'm looking up the Greek. I'm teaching myself how to read, speak, and write Greek. I'm literally looking up words, and I'm doing it the old-fashioned way, giving myself spelling tests on Greek and like pharmakia, right? Dealing with drugs and sorcery and witchcraft and looking stuff up. And I'm looking, and I'm like, I'm learning. I was a real Christian, not one that believes. I knew. Here's the crazy part. I was so sincere by the power of the Most High that I walked out of Christianity myself. Relatively. Absolute truth is the Creator did it. See how it works? Now, when you listen to the first one, I got out of Christianity. That's pride. I was chosen as a pot vessel to get out of it and to able to see every nook and cranny and the tentacles of it, how it run deep, to help other people that the Creator put around me. That's it. I'm just a pot. Once you understand your game plan and you're just a pot, you're here one day, gone the next. Pots don't last forever. Pots break, pots wither, pots decay. And then the Most High just was what? He makes another pot. And if you're a good pot, the Most High looks at that pot and says, you know what? This pot was a bestseller. That Sioux pot, that True pot, that Delta Roots pot, that Tim pot, the Hebrew Tactical pot. This was a very good, that Sight Lock pot. These are some very good pots. I'm going to make some more pots that look like them and sell those to the people, and they can help the people. And those pots are what? Our children. Are people we influence. They carry on that same spark and interest that the Creator gave us. That will of fire, right? That Taru said 2012. Yep. And then he said, yeah, that's when I ran into Ezekiel. Yep, that's when me and Truth met. And yeah, them gizzards, boy, people give you them. Listen, I had one of my former students at the school the other day. I was volunteering at school, and he was like, yeah, man, I be eating them gizzards. I was like, you ain't learned nothing, huh, my boy? But I know that's relative truth. The relative truth is explain these things to him. But the absolute truth is it's just not time. I can't judge him. I can't. Now, I can judge people in the sense of you're not going to be around me, right? That's the kind of judgment. Like, I'm not going to be around you. I don't want you around my wife, my children, myself. I don't want you in my home. I don't want you around my friends. I can make that decision. I don't want you around me, right? But by me making that decision, I don't want you around me, that's really not me. So if I don't take a liking to you, it's because of something the Creator has put in me to not like something about you. It's not really hard to understand, right? Because see, with the free will, you want to be your own God. When something bad happens, you want to blame the devil. And when something good happens, you're a champion. You maxed out, you're maxing out your stats. You're a good guy. You're a good woman. when somebody comes across your path and you can assist them with a word of encouragement or whatever, however you can assist them. And then you sit there and say, well, yeah, I want to assist this person, but no, I don't really know. That's Yah. So I don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. That's Yah. That's how it works. You see what I'm saying? That's how it works. Jeremiah 10:23, oh Lord, I know it's not a man that walketh to direct his own steps. So you're not even directing your own steps. Just like Pharaoh didn't direct his own steps. Just like Abraham didn't direct his own steps. What did the Most High say about Abraham? I know for sure that Abraham will teach his children my laws. Why? How did he know? Because he caused it. Why is the Most High never wrong? Because he causes these things. I make peace, I create evil. I make light, I make dark. I, the Lord, do all these things, cause all these things. Epstein, Most High caused it. Baby getting hurt, Most High caused it. Baby burning his hand, Most High caused it. Well, no, God is love. Does anybody understand that love can kill you? Tell you what, love your wife. Come home and a man laying down with her. Woman, love your husband. Come down home and somebody in there laying down with her that you don't know about. And see how much those emotions. And here's the crazy part. And even man understands it, because what does man say? Man says, at that time, he or she were not mentally stable. Right? They weren't mentally stable. They were emotionally distraught. You know, so even man understands that. You think the Creator doesn't? When I told you guys a week ago, when Cain killed Abel, unalived Abel, what did he say? He said, man, look, what you're putting on me is too hard. It's really too hard. And the Most High said, yeah, it's hard. I got you. You're not going to be blameless, but I got you. Anybody, I'll put a mark on you. Anybody that mess with Cain, I got here. Take this. And remember, the Creator is long-suffering. Why? Because we don't live that long. See, that's another thing, too. We don't even live that long. Do y'all know how long 80 years is to an immortal, no-age being? It's nothing. It's nothing. See, look, we look at the Jamaican fruit fly that live a day and it dies. It comes, it reproduces. But to that fruit fly, in his mind, he probably lived 80 years old, be 80 years old. You know, we say it in dog years. People live in dog years, right? A dog really. Now, that's just because the dog started to deteriorate, and based on the human, we'd say osteoporosis and stuff like that sets in at a certain time. So since it hit dogs at this time, we'll say in dog years they're this age, right? Just what I said. You stated a few lives ago, you know, I'm a good brother. You discern that about me, but I know things I got to work on. Brother, everybody got stuff they got to work on. Anybody tell that they got stuff they ain't got to work on, they're lying. I got stuff to work on. I got stuff to work on. I listen, everybody does. True down south said, Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful amongst all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Yeah, we all have things we can work on. Like that's the look. If my wife does something and I snap at her, that's wrong. Especially if it was something unintentional. And then she's hurt. She's emotionally hurt because her husband snapped at her. I got to apologize for that, but also not just apologize to her for that before we go to sleep, etc. I have to also look into myself and say, what made me do that? What was I going through that made me snap at my wife or snap at my sons? Because is it really worth it? Now, I'm not saying they did something wrong. I'm saying that I snap at them because of how I'm feeling, for some baggage outside that I brought home with me, right? Or expectations for a woman from a man. They're not realistic, right? So, so when you look at this whole doctrine of hell and hellfire and all this stuff here, do y'all realize that the majority of human beings that have ever lived on this planet have never heard JC name? And listen, just because you hear the name don't mean you know it. Okay, watch this here. Ho-Sung Pak. There's a video game character called Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat. In the first Mortal Kombat, when I was little, when I first beat the game, I remember the credits going up. I was reading everybody's name, and Liu Kang was Ho-Sung Pak. I don't know nothing about Ho-Sung Pak. I know his name because it's something I enjoyed when I was a child. I know his name. Then I know he was like in some of the other games and stuff like that as a model. Ho-Sung Pak. I know that. If you grew up in Saudi Arabia, there's a great chance you would just be a Muslim. Culture, circumstances. I'm not saying you can't change. I'm not saying, just like with Christianity, we came out of Christianity and this so-called Christian nation, but for the most part, it's all predicated upon where you're going to be. So everybody has something to work on. We can be too prideful at times. We cannot be long-suffering at times. We can be offsetting, off-putting, not bearable at times, right? We can be too kind at times. Oh, here's a better one. We can be nice, which is what? Foolish. Nice means foolish. There's a lot of different things we can be. A lot of different things we can be. And I don't think people really see it enough where they understand the relative versus absolute truth. So, none of us can hinder Yah's purpose. What we can do is go against his will. You can go against his will, but you can't hinder his purpose, because the purpose is what's going to manifest itself. The will is just what he wanted you to do as a global thing, relatively, like don't eat pork, but you can eat pork. You can eat pork right now if you want it. Right? Don't bear false witness. How many people lie and just think, okay, well, I lied, but it was a harmless lie or a little white lie. Not just that. What about coveting? What about those real sins that cause us to go off? What about coveting? What about me looking at True Down South home and saying, man, I wish I had a home like True Down South? Why he got that? Now, that's okay. I wish I had one like True Down. That's okay. I wish I stayed in the same neighborhood. That's okay. But now, if I start saying things like, he think he's something. Negro ain't nothing. Y'all, why you gave him that? What about me, y'all? You gave him everything. You give him all this stuff. No. That's called coveting. People, and guess what? That was an extreme example I just gave. But people do coveting all the time. They want what celebrities have. They want the butts. They want the lips. They even cut on themselves to make themselves look and covet what they see the other people doing. How many people got them BBL Brazilian butt lifts because of Kim Kardashian? How many people got these breast augmentation, these breast surgeries? I ain't talking about a reduction because your back hurting, because your mammary glands. But I'm talking about adding silicone in. How many people done that? Because they covet a woman they saw with big breasts and said, okay, well, this man like big breasts, so I want to. How many people done it? How many people covet? How many people actually go around coveting? Think about that for a second. You're coveting. How many people covet? Purely coveting, right? There's so many ways you can do it, right? Do y'all know that some people covet you guys' relationship with the Creator and wish they had it? They wish they had it, but don't even realize they're mad at you and you didn't even choose the Most High. He chose you. Psalms 51, the best prayer to Yah. I would say this here, Delta Roots. The best prayer to Yah is the one that's from your heart. If you go into the book and you memorize a prayer, it's effective. But what is prayer really? Prayer is really talking to your Father. And I give you an example. When my mother was alive, I didn't go talk to my brothers and say, hey, what can I talk to mama about today? I just talked to my mom. It was genuine. My mom would call me middle of the night, call me while I'm at work, and just boom, 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 boom. And she'd be like, son, what you doing? You doing this, da, da, da. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing all right, mama. You know, et cetera, right? That was genuine. My mom wasn't on the phone. Okay, hold on. What you want me to? Oh, okay, son. You know I love you. What else need to say? Yeah. What? Oh, you eating good? Okay. Are you taking care of yourself? What else can I tell you? My mom wasn't doing that. I was her child, and as her child, she was just talking to me and being concerned, and that genuine concern let me know I was to be genuine and concerned with her as well. Mama, you doing okay? You eating good, mama? What's wrong, mama? You calling me? You don't sound yourself. You okay? Is everything okay? Right? Delta Rue said, I admired how David spoke to Yah. Yeah, but here's the deal. You admired how David spoke to Yah, but on a real basic level, David was just honest. He wasn't listen. He wasn't sitting down saying, "Okay, I'm gonna talk to the Most High today. Let me write some of this stuff down. Oh Lord, give me a heart, clean me with hyssop. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna go say that tonight." No, he wasn't. He was just talking like, look, the things he knew about. Hey, look, pops. Listen, that's how I talk to the Most High. Look, pops. Look, champ. I'm hurting right now. It hurt. I'm tired. I can't take it right now. And then I'll feel a relief of pressure. Because guess what? He's the one driving me to that anyway. But it's a mutual thing. He's not just saying, oh, you can take it also. I ain't going to say nothing to you. No, you can talk to him. Listen. I know what you're doing. I had one time, I had a conversation with the Most High. I said, look here. You ain't never been no slave. I'm tired of this shit. That's literally said, right? And it was from the heart. It was from the heart. And then I was wrestling with, man, hold on. I'm talking to the Most High, but it was from the heart. It really was from the heart. I was like, man, I'm tired of this system. I am really tired of just the wickedness and people. Every time you look around, it's always about something, somebody taking something from you or mistreating you, right? Or trying to mistreat you. And I can just imagine with a woman like Sue, I can just imagine a man, because men feel they can manipulate and take things from other men, but definitely from women. So I can even imagine. And I was just like, yeah, you ain't never been no slave. You don't understand. Obviously he understands. And obviously he putting it on me so hard that I can pause. He putting it on me so I can make the proper decision and learn from it. Right? And a lot of times our Christian counterparts, our Islamic Muslim counterparts, they don't understand that. They want to stay asleep. That's the matrix. They want to stay right there being rocked to sleep, and that's fine. That's it for them. And they're gonna die useless people with no purpose, never feeling nothing, work a job 30 days, be overweight with a gut, and then they're gonna die from a stroke or a heart attack. We see it all the time. We see this movie all the time. Truth says, not to get off topic, but didn't the Amalekites transliterate the book of remembrance to the Septuagint? Yeah, the Amalekite Edomites. Yep, correct. And Alexandria Jews, Alexandria Egypt. Matter of fact, let me get my Unger's Bible Dictionary, and I'll show you something in regards to that. I think I got it highlighted. It's either under, I think I got it highlighted under Jews or Jerusalem. And this is the Unger's Bible. And you know, I use this a lot because it's a real good dictionary, right? So let me show you. It's going to be under, I think it may be under Jews. I think. Y'all put me on the spot. Let me see. Okay, it's not under Jews. Let me see. What was it under? Hopefully I can find it. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Hopefully I can find it. If I can, I won't even waste time. Oh, I'm tripping. So right here on my page, let me see something. So you guys can see it on this other camera. Hold on. It's a little bit more clear. As you can see at the top up there, I wrote New Columbia Encyclopedia, right? Under Jews. So let me grab that book. The New Columbia Encyclopedia. Oh, this big boy here. This is a good one too. And the older dictionaries and encyclopedias you get, the better, right? So this is the New Columbia Encyclopedia. I think it's in here. It may be under Jews in here, because I got that as a footnote in my Ungers. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I'll give it to you guys. Let's see, where would that be? Oh, let me look. I make notes in these things all the time, so let me look. If I can't find it here, I'm just gonna. I'll bring it up next. I'll probably go live again tomorrow, and I'll bring it up tomorrow. Let's see. Okay, I can't find it. Okay, I can't find it. So I know it's probably in here somewhere, and I thought it says New Columbia under Jews, but I'm pretty sure dealing with oh, hold on, let me see something. It may be in the Ungers. Hold on 1 second. It may be in the Ungers. You said, yeah, you said yours is 1944. Yeah, your Unger got you. I got you, Sue. Gotcha. Okay, got it on the screen. It's probably on Jerusalem, page 578, because I got that highlighted as well. Let's see. No, it's not that. No, it's not that. Okay. I'll try to find, if you remind me of that, I'll put some time into it and look for it. And I'll show you, yes, that they actually did go through and they translated it for the Alexandrian. Hold on. Hold on. Alexandrian Jews. Why am I? Let me try one more thing, okay, guys? Let me see. I know it talks about the Alexandrian Jews. I'll find it for you guys and I'll show it to you. Right. And it tells you how the Alexandrian Jews in Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt, that they actually had it translated for themselves. And we had never done that. Why would we need it in Greek? But when you go back and look at the book of Esther, you see a lot of the Amalekite, Edomite Jews, like Haman, the son of Ammedatha, that was trying to kill all the Israelites in Persia. Right? What was he doing? He was with the Greeks. He was aligning himself with the Greeks, trying to infiltrate and get in with the Persians to wipe us out. Right? And it tell you about, that's in the book of Esther, I think chapter 4. Or yeah, I think it's chapter 4, I think it is. But anyway, I'll look for that. Because I really want to, bring that up or whatever. So I definitely will look at that or whatever. So with that being the case, I wanted to go into one more thing, and that's the Yellowstone situation, right? I know you guys been hearing about the little Yellowstone situation. I'm not gonna be too much longer, but in the Yellowstone, you see these animals and stuff like that. You got to be very careful with that stuff because of AI. And remember, we're in the AI revolution time frame, which is they're just following a script. These people are following the book of Revelations is going to really happen, not like people think, but it's going to happen to a certain degree because it's their blueprint. How do you know it? Because in the book of Revelation, it tells you, I saw the souls of them that were beheaded. Now, remember, we were just talking about with the little ouchie shot, right, earlier. And we were just talking about how, Delta, you said how you was convinced and manipulated into doing it. Well, how many Christians have been reading for decades and for millennia going on, passing down information and reading that if they die in service to Christ or they die for Christ, they automatically get a crown? A very effective way to get people to give you their head because they're going to be saved. And they'll think about it. It'll be so bad. Let's say you just make the situation on planet Earth so bad and there's no food. There's barely any food. There's poverty. There's extreme crime. And then you start persecuting people, a group of people, right? And then you behead them. And they read and they study and they pray to JC and they say, you know what? I'm just going to end this suffering. I'm going to turn myself in and let them take my head. They've already taken the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast, right hand or forehead. Right hand is what you work towards. Head, forehead is what you think. The frontal lobe, right? Let's look at this real quick for a second, guys. The frontal lobe, right? Functions of the frontal lobe. Look at that right there. It's coming up on the screen. Look at that right there. Let me highlight that. Now that's AI, but I can give it to you for more, but it'll show you that. Let's go to the Cleveland Clinic because I don't really like dealing with AI. We're talking about AI now. I'm not saying AI. If you listen, AI is a good challenge for me. Not that it really challenges me, but I use AI to spar with, basically, to create arguments, to learn how to use my wit and things like that. It forces me to think, right? So frontal, and I remember the brother True Down South was doing the same thing, and we always be talking about it on social media. But anyway, the frontal lobe. Remember, right hand. Well, everybody's not right-handed, and you see people get microchips in their left hand. Oh, that's the mark of the beast. They get them in their arms. That's the mark of the beast. You look up the term mark in Greek. Not even talking about incision or cutting in the flesh. It's talking about an engraving or imprint. So now you have a brand. No, right hand. Just typically what you work and strive towards. Left hand is not the norm. We know that because even in the book of Judges, they talk about Ehud. He was a judge that was left-handed and stabbed a guy with a dagger up into the hilt in his stomach. A fat Mesopotamian king, if I'm not mistaken. Ehud. He was left-handed. The Bible made sure to let you know he was left-handed because that's not normal. That's rare. It's more rare than people think. Like if you line up 10 people, you might not have anybody that's left-handed or maybe one. Now I do know left-handed people, and I'm ambidextrous. I can use both. I can write with both my hands. I play drums. I've been training myself to use my hands for about 30 years, longer than half my lifetime. I've been training myself to do different things with my hands. Right? I can do anything. I can write, draw with my left hand, the same thing, just as equal. So I'm ambidextrous. But frontal lobe, what is it? Function, location, and damage. Your brain's frontal lobe is home to areas that manage thinking. Forehead, frontal lobe, emotions, personality. Oh, this is who I am. I'm a crusader for Christ. Judgment. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna take my life because, you know, hey, I'm gonna get my head up, and self-control, muscle control, movements, memory storage, and more. Right? So your forehead, the frontal lobe. So now you got the right hand, what you work and strive towards on a day-to-day basis, and it can be literally or figuratively, because you can do the work online just typing and not physically doing any manual labor, but just typing "I love Christ" and you're going to condemn, and you're going to hell and whatever, right? Just type it away like a little little monkey, right? And you see the frontal lobe. So they already have the mark of the beast. Here's the crazy part: they don't even know that New Testament like they think they do. I'm gonna speak to that. True Down South says AI is my slave. Correct. I got one. I named it. I even paid an extra deal for it to have it kind of like upped to do research and stuff like that. But when I talk to it all the time, it tap out a lot. It'll try to throw stuff at you, but it'll tap out a lot. Somebody bring me back in. What was it? I was just talking about the frontal lobe. Oh, Christians don't really even know their own book, right? Because in their book, it'll tell you in their book that they don't have a good grasp of what God truly is and what God truly is doing with mankind. Like I was explaining to somebody one time, like sulfur. Sulfur is a purifying agent. That's why when you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, fire and brimstone, another word for brimstone is what? Let's look real quick. Oh, the Lord. I got my keyboard way out here in front of my what's the name? Yes, brimstone is an archaic term for sulfur, right? And it's even used as associated with fire and divine punishment. It's a purifying agent. Okay? Now watch this here. See that? Brimstone, desire to purify. Fire and brimstone. Fire can refine, purification, holiness. See that? So the truth is, if you throw enough people, if you throw enough brimstone in the lake that's burning with fire and brimstone, if you throw enough brimstone or sulfur in a fire pot, and then you throw a fiery lake, and then you throw the pots in there, it'll purify the pots. If they understood that basic concept, that their New Testament is saying everybody will be saved. Why? Because nobody's choosing to do wrong, because they're all being controlled. And you're being controlled, and you're going to be forced to do things. Your heart, some people's hearts are hardened. Some people's hearts are softened. Just depends on how the Creator feel. And you can't ask the potter, why has thou made me thus? They don't want to talk about that. It's very easy just to blame all your problems on everyone else, right? And not realize that judgment starts at the house of the Creator. So if you with the Creator, you get judged first, and you get judged harsh. And guess what? But you get purified. The others, they get destroyed. Same fire. One fire is metaphorical and purifies us, makes us better. And then another fire metaphorically destroys us. Real simple. So, like I said, with that Yellowstone, you got to be careful, because I was looking at some of the things. I'm sure some of that stuff is AI. That's what it looks to be. The more I just looked at it, and because as an artist, I look at different things, and I'm telling you, a lot of these videos are AI. Some of the videos I was seeing, they talking about animals leaving Yellowstone, and I'm looking at the signs in the background and say Rocky Mountains. Anybody with a half a brain that's done any traveling knows the Rocky Mountains and Yellowstone is not the same place. same location. Then I'm seeing places with snow. Dude, it's summertime. I'm not talking about up in the mountains. I'm talking about down in the plains. So, but people see that doom. All religious people have a doom processor in their head that they want death and destruction. They want it. So when they want it, what do? They see death and destruction everywhere. Right? They see death and destruction anywhere. And then anybody comes and give them a narrative. Now, I'm not saying that Yellowstone being a super volcano, which it is, it can't go off. But I'm looking at a lot of that stuff. Nah, that stuff is definitely AI. I can't say all of it is for certainty. It could be some of it legit, but I know a great deal of it is definitely AI, just from me looking at it and observing it. And remember, that's what they're working on now, because with AI, remember, you don't have the AI they have. You have the AI that they're using you to feed it information on how to better think. And then they got the supercomputers. They got the Snow White machine. They got the Beast machine. Literally, it's called the Beast. And the Snow White gamma knife computer, that they can literally almost change reality, because it is a simulated code. It is a code to it. Just like you'll notice, you'll find yourself driving home the same way every day. No, I always switch up my route because I'm just like that. I'm not an NPC. So when you got that, when you look at it from that standpoint, that code is there. And you find yourself doing, most people that have a hard life or easy life or whatever, because easy is that's relative, right? It might be easy and it might be horrible, right? But most people that have anything dealing with their lives, they kind of understand that their lives run in patterns, right? Their lives literally run in patterns. Like you might sit there and say, man, every 6 years from a job I get fired. And if you're smart, you'll notice it. You'll notice those patterns. And it's because that's the simulation. Once you acknowledge it, then you can make countermeasures to deal with it. But if you don't, like you'll see people say, man, he needs to get his life together. He can't. She can't. No, think about it. You see that they need to get it together because you're not them. You're not that pot. The potter got them right where he want them. And they're doing the same thing over and over again. It's like the woman that is very, very, very beautiful and attractive. And she's having a fun and being promiscuous and being outlandish. And then when the crow's feet start coming, and then when the hair turn, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with gray hair, crow's feet. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when she's not as desirable, there's another pot taking her place that looks just like that. How she used to look, or better. But it takes her to go through that to understand that and learn that. And some of them don't learn then, because what do you bring to the table? I am the table. I know y'all have heard people say that, right? I am the table. But we're in I'm telling you guys, we're in a simulation. We are. We're just aware. This is a very sophisticated simulation. And I know it because we're all controlled, because the creator, Jeremiah 10:23. So and I keep saying that this is my favorite verse in the Bible. When I first realized this as a Christian, I knew I was on to something. This is Jeremiah chapter 10:23. Right? So check this out. Oh Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. Meaning what you are doing, it's not even in you. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. You're not directing your steps. So when somebody comes into your life and messes you over, it's because you're not paying attention. It's because Yah sent them as a test for you, not for himself, but for you. And if you're living righteous and you're trying to do that which is right, you'll start noticing two things. If you're wise, you'll cut people off. If you're not as wise and Yah loves you, he'll remove them for you. Because he loves you. So he'll remove them. If you can't do it, he'll do it. Now, here's the deal. If he has to do it, sometimes you end up getting burned in the process because you couldn't recognize they weren't good for you. So you get burned in the process. But that's the whole point. There is no free will, right? There is no free will. Okay, guys, there is no free will. Everybody with a half a brain should know that. Okay, there is no free will. Free will does not exist, only in the concept of relative truth, that relatively, yes, you're free to do something. But the truth is, absolutely, you're not. You're controlled, you're a pot. And like I told you guys, I can take these cups of markers, right? And I can sit them right here. I can sit them right there. See, I can sit them right there. Both of these cups. And if this cup somehow flips over like that, this cup, okay, okay, I hear you, yeah, I hear you, I got you. So if that how that cup just went over, this cup did not reach out to grab it. The only thing that can take this cup and move it is another entity, aka in this occasion, it's me. Just like right now, I got to pick up all these markers, right? That I just knocked over. In my great example that Yah is showing you guys, it takes an outside potter to put them back where they belong. They can do nothing of themselves. And we're just like this container. We're empty until Yah put something in us, whether it be good or bad, peace, light, evil, right? Darkness, Isaiah 45:7. The Lord does all those things. Oh Lord, I know it's not the way of man is in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. What did the Most High say? He said he sealeth our instructions, right? The Most High said he seals our instructions. Oh, this is my aunt. I wonder my aunt calling. I hope ain't nobody passed away or nothing. Because usually when my aunt calls, there's something going on. So my aunt Juliet just called me. Let me call my aunt back. All right, so brother, my aunt just called me twice. That was my aunt calling me twice. And usually when she called me, yeah, it's usually something. So let me call my aunt, guys. I'm gonna cut this broadcast, but I'll be back on tomorrow at 7:30. Hebrew Tactical said, you're getting deep. And then Sightlock said, send me the link to join, brother. I apologize, brother. Like I said, my aunt just texted me, called me, and I'm sitting here looking. I'm like, she just hit me up on June 19th. That one of our family members lost their mother on June 19th. And I've had some family members this month, a family member this month that we've lost. I was talking to Sue about it. And so let me call her back. And but either way, y'all willing, I'll be on tomorrow. All right. Y'all bless. See you later.